have something that needs to be cleared up about the papal helicopter. Today was kind of an amazing spectacle, right? Live footage all day today of something that has not happened in 600 years. And when it happened 600 years ago, well, I know very little about the 1400s or 1500s, whichever it was, but I know there were no helicopters to play the role that the Pope's helicopter played in today's amazing scenes from Rome. Because the Pope has decided to resign the office instead of serving for his natural life. Because that has not happened in hundreds of years, there is no normal process for handling this. Everything has to be, I guess, a little improvised. So I guess this is how we do it now. Today, before he stepped down, the now ex-pope, he said a final farewell to the church's cardinals. The cardinals will pick his successor soon, but today there was the new ritual of the outgoing pope getting to say goodbye because he is outgoing but still extant, and that's a new thing. Later in the day, Benedict appeared on the balcony of the Castle Gandolfo, which is one of the Pope's summer homes south of Rome. From there, he thanked the assembled crowd outside and told them that from now on, he's just a humble pilgrim. It was the Swiss Guard, the world's most harlequin military force, that ended up signaling to the world the final moments of Pope Benedict's reign, when this member of the Swiss Guard shut the papal gate at Castle Gandolfo. The closing of those big wooden doors is apparently the marker of the exact moment that Benedict gave up the papacy today. That said, nobody really knows what it means to give up the papacy. There is no template for how to do this. And the way the ex-pope has decided to do this is what makes the whole helicopter thing today something that needs explaining. Because even though the papal gate was shut, and he said the thing about just being a humble pilgrim now, he has decided to keep the name Benedict XVI instead of going back to his pre-pope name, which was Joseph Ratzinger. He has also given himself a new title that never existed before. He wishes to be called Pope Emeritus. He has also decided to keep the papal white robes instead of going back to dressing as a priest or even as a cardinal. He has also decided he wants to still be addressed as Your Holiness. The ex-pope has also decided to keep one of the best papal perks of all. He is keeping his secretary. His secretary will be responsible for tending to the new pope as well when the new pope is elected. But that secretary will also simultaneously have to serve as secretary to the Pope Emeritus, from whom he has been inseparable during these past 8 years. This secretary that the ex-pope has decided to keep is this man, Archbishop Georg Genswein, who last month was the first clergyman ever to make the cover of Italian Vanity Fair. The caption says, "It is not a sin to be beautiful," and it calls him the George Clooney of St. Peter's. The remarkable Archbishop Clooney will apparently keep his day job running the next pope's household. But the plan is that he will go home at night to his other gig with the old pope, the Pope Emeritus, which brings us back to the papal helicopter. While it just is sort of facially amazing to see the Pope flying away to end his reign in his glittering white air chariot, into the beautiful Roman sunset he goes, watching this as an American audience necessarily brings up almost a sense memory of what it means to see a leader leaving on a helicopter and saying goodbye. When we Americans usually see leaders leave on a helicopter at the end of their reign, in America, that means presidents leaving the White House at the end of their term, right? Because they served their 2 terms in office and it was time to hand over to a successor, like George W. Bush or Bill Clinton or Ronald Reagan. Or maybe they served just 1 term and then lost, like Poppy Bush or Jimmy Carter. Or most famously, a president once had to leave the presidency because he resigned under duress in the face of scandal, Richard Nixon. We are used to seeing leaders take off in that big deluxe chopper and never come back. But today, watching the Pope do the same thing, dressed in white, seeing him take off in that dramatic fashion and exit stage up like a president, there is one really important difference in what that trip on the papal helicopter meant today. Because unlike presidents who really are leaving the White House forever and not coming back, today the Pope took off and left the Vatican, but he's kind of just going on vacation for a while. He's going to go stay at his summer place for a while, and then he's going to come back to the Vatican, where he will live dressed in white, being called Your Holiness, sharing this man as a secretary. He gets him nights. The new pope gets him days. He'll be sharing him indefinitely. He'll be there indefinitely for the rest of his life. And the ex-pope's brother, Benedict's brother, says that Benedict will be happy to advise his successor while he's hanging around in the Vatican not being pope. So just to be clear, the Pope's helicopter took him away today, but it is not a one-way trip. It is going to take him back too. I never thought I would ever say this in my life, but oh, to be a fly on the wall at the Vatican when he gets back. Now it's time for the last word. Have a great night.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. We do not give up. Expect surprises. Subscribe.